Hi everyone. Thanks a lot, Jardim, and everyone who organized this event for inviting us. And I suggest before we start introducing each other, let me just give you a brief bit of context why we are here and what this little panel is all about. So my name is Ela. I'm co-founder of Supermarkt. We are a research and event platform based in Kreuzberg. And we are working on digital culture and collaborative economy. And together with a group of people, such as from Genevieve, but also people from Adua, we are co-convening the local platform co-op meetups. Sherman was already presenting this idea of platform cooperativism. And I would just be curious who in the audience is already familiar with this term, platform co-ops. It's quite new. Let me just give you a very brief intro. The term platform cooperativism, I would say, is first of all a programmatic term that tries to resist the notion of platform capitalism that was, I think, here in Germany was coined around 2 years ago by Stegemann in an article, Spiegel Online, when he wrote about the emerging practices of extractive corporate sharing economy players that try to commodify and capitalize on social relations. And he was basically he was expressing his worries about the sharing economy and its development, and also asked quite a lot of questions on how we can get the power back into these systems and avoiding corruption of these different forms. So Trevor Scholz, he's a professor at the U School in New York, and he has been working extensively on digital labor and the condition of people working for digital platforms. He started a conference series last year in November, and it was called Platform Cooperativism, and it was meant to be a gathering of people that care for the open web. So since then, there are a lot of groups in different countries spreading out and trying to explore this notion of cooperativism. What is it all about? It's basically, as Sherman already mentioned, it's this idea of people getting together, building their own platform, taking care of the transactions, working on value systems, and having their shares of everything that's being done on this platform. So just imagine Uber without the central software, without the middleman. Uber as a self-organized co-op, for instance, where everyone has a share of the gains, and where the platform, or let's say the software, could be programmed by people in an open source mode on maybe decentralized structures all over the world, and also, with the aim of constantly making the software better, taking into account the health and the social relations of the workers and so on. So it's basically this idea of platform cooperativism is driving towards a more human alternative to the market economy. As you might have noticed, there is a huge rise of cooperative these days in the housing field, in the energy sector, but also, for instance, we at Supermarkt, we are helping founding a freelancer cooperative for freelancers working in the digital field. There are many of these initiatives going on these days. And when we started our first meetup in January with Michel Barnes, he's the director of the Kagel Foundation, there was a discussion whether or not platform co-ops should be, whether they should focus on a centralized platform or whether they should be organized in a more decentralized way from the very beginning. And all of a sudden we found ourselves in a discussion as if these were two opposed things, as it would be a contradictory between working in a decentralized mode but having also centralized structures at the same time. And the same with the notion of autonomy. I think we can also discuss the full spectrum of how much autonomy is needed in organizations like that and how much interconnectedness is needed. Now, Sherman also stated that there is a huge hunger for new organizations, right? And I think we can all see that. And I think the cooperative is not the only piece of many others. And I would suggest to introduce ourselves and to also maybe talk about the model of the organizations you are attached to, and in what ways you think this spectrum of centralization, decentralization, autonomy, interconnectedness will play a role in the future development of your organizations, and what you would like to envision, a future organization to operate. What would be your ideas and dreams? And if there's anything you would like to ask or add, please do so anytime. Then we can move on. Quickly introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, my name is Genevieve and I'm a member of an organisation called Inspiring, which is based in New Zealand, Inspiring. And my name is Genevieve. I often swallow that word. And yes, we're a network of freelancers and social enterprises and doing work for various environmental and social outcomes with companies working with mental health, democratic decision making, financial transparency, and education. So the fields that people involved are working with. In terms of sort of how is decentralized structure, we've experimented with various sort of forms of organizing. It was initially visited as a collective of freelancers with the vision of everyone having access and control over their portion of the company's money. And through that, over the years, we've grown to be larger, to be a sort of a collective of businesses within the network. And now we're making this transition towards a collection of decentralized group of communities and smaller pods. So that in a nutshell is the structure of Inspiring.
Yes, let me say something. For the people who don't know, it's really worth looking into Inspire, because I think it's an organization that really created lots of protocols and created lots of best practice, created lots of software such as Lumio, which is for collective decision making, which is like the first way, like the first software that really shows a very practical way for people to make decisions collectively in a more decentralized manner. Also, they're experimenting a lot with the co-budget, they have a layer on top of their bank account where they really go very, very creatively on how they invoice external customers and then exchange internally as well. Anyway, I think it's very worth going into the website and researching it. So to myself, my name is Pedro, and I've been doing a couple of projects over the last years. One of them is this space here. We started this space a couple of years ago, where we're looking into how prototyping into what are the offline methodologies and best practices for people to create a community. And it's been a very interesting process, it's an iterative process involving many people, and I think we've looked very much on the focus of the offline methodology. The other project that we started a few years ago was a cleaning service, so we started a very offline cleaning service, focused on holiday apartments, and then out of that we created a software that helped the cleaners self-organize around the jobs that were coming, so they organize themselves as a group. Jobs come outside, they pick up, they pass jobs to each other, and but we also added a couple of other features such as voting, and they could create events. And so in our company we have 3 German classes, so we're like, how can a small group of self-organized people work? So we kind of got a bit of insight into that over this process, and then we've been exploring another project which is called Neo Tribes, where we're looking into into how can eco villages, co-working spaces, hacker spaces, all of those emerging tribes in the world, what do they have in common, how can they learn from each other, what are the protocols, what are the best practices. So we're doing retreats with people that are running those communities all over the world. We're also doing a cookbook with the best practices and other projects. So this is a project that is emerging. And most recently, we started a software company called Colleague, where we are mainly focused on co-working spaces and giving co-working spaces the ability to monetize on jobs that they sell for the members. Basically, co-working spaces get a lot of inquiries. I need a designer instead, and they're mostly not monetizing a lot, so they're having great infrastructure. So it's really hard the business model of space rental. We're just helping them to earn some part of the transaction, kind of being a middleman, but in opposed to Upwork, which is a central platform, so the money doesn't go to a central place, but it goes to distributed nodes and then gets the economies. And so, on the process of this, the process of raising money for this company, we wanted to raise money in a different way, and we were looking into how to do that, and also coming across a friend that has been researching a lot about ownership. We've developed a kind of evergreen investment fund that is looking into investing into companies that have a different type of ownership, which are not necessarily co-ops. So I think that there are two topics that we are kind of touching here. The first topic is the ownership. So I think we have to rethink what it means to have what it means to own something and how can we define it in different ways, because we have a very old idea of ownership that is not up to date. And the second question is the governance, right? Which is the question: how do you, based on a different type of ownership, it's more likely that people will create different types of governance, which in the cooperative environment is quite predefined, at least in Germany. So we've been looking into this different type of ownership where there are two basic points. It doesn't need to be a co-op, but it can be any legal structure, but all the people that are running the company or there's two basic points. For all the people that are running the company or involved in the company, those are the ones that can have the voting rights, right? And the second point is that the profits are not an end for themselves, but it seeks for the future. So that means all these active voting rights are not connected to dividends, and all the dividends they are in most cases capped, but they don't have any voting rights. That means in such structure the money cannot dictate the decision. So we just, in order to make that legal in Germany, we've created a foundation, and then this foundation has 1% of every company, and then you can veto the changes on these 3 points. So that means this gives another perspective onto cooperatives, because I think what the cooperative makes it very interesting is the self-ownership, because almost like a cooperative owns itself, and then people kind of serve it and go, and so we're doing this in the same way, but with a more flexible sense than being a cooperative. We're doing it a different way in New Zealand, and so I think that's the perspective that I'm thinking. How can you extend this idea of a different type of ownership, not just limiting to it being a co-op. And I think the platform co-op is also thinking this way, as you also introduced. It doesn't need to be necessarily a co-op. It's just what are the other ways to see that.
One main concern is that decentralizing leadership is a very noble approach, but I have 2 questions about that. How do you decentralize legal accountability? Like if there is a criminal action, how does that punishment going to come to people that they are involved in the project? That's the first part. And the other part is, would you think that decentralizing leadership in some interface is like a disincentive to innovation?
Well, I mean, my take on it is really, I don't think that co-op structure is the best structure for me to build a technology company, because I do believe that you need to have entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs have to have their initiative and have to be able to decide. But I don't think they are working in a structure that is just making them at the end extract value, especially for other people that are investing into this or for themselves themselves to exit onto this, and this will create a non-sustainable company structure. So I think there are different takes on that. And you can do it in different ways, and we are creating a diversity of ways to do that. Of course, the cooperative has then a different insight. I think that democracy within a small company, especially that doesn't have best practices, I'm not sure if this is the best way to do that. But this is everybody can decide, and there is a lot of accountability. We're not talking about this DAO. When it comes to the question of DAO, you should ask this question. Right now, we're talking about legal structures that are really working in our system. So a co-op is a quite old legal structure. A limited company is quite old legal structure. It has a CEO, or the co-op has a person that is running it. There is accountability for that in our legal system. But when it comes to the next conversation, I think that is a very relevant question, which I don't have an answer to.
Yeah, and I also think it might be part of the culture of the company, right? It's part of how decisions are being taken. It's part of how accountable everyone is in their own roles and how governance is being tackled. And I think, as you just pointed out, there are so many different forms right now. If you look, for instance, at Fairmondo, it's very often quoted as a good example. This is a cooperative. It's an alternative, or they call themselves an alternative to eBay, a fair alternative. It's a marketplace where people can sell fair regional products. This marketplace is cooperative, it's owned by everyone who has a share in the cooperative, and they are really doing, they're really struggling with building this technological platform at the core of it, and it's a tough job. So, because they don't have the funding yet in order to really to push things forward. So what they try to do is to move on with a constant crowdfunding in order to raise money constantly as a fundraising strategy. And while they're doing that, they're still learning. It's an ongoing thing. I think no one really has the right terms and conditions written down at this moment. So that's what makes it so exciting also. And Patrick, I wonder, since you have also been looking into different models, please introduce yourself, and maybe you can also pick up on this question.
Yes, I will. So I'm Patrick. I'm working for Cooperative. It's in the office in Berlin. So I'm working there as a journalist and format developer for TV and radio. But I'm also doing research about crowd working mostly. And so I was pretty upset with the situation because it's fucked up and bullshit, as you already probably know about the situation of crowd working platform like Upwork. So I was going to this conference in New York because I was looking for something, for an alternative. So maybe I found it there in this idea, and so actually I was looking for something like Korea. So how can we compete maybe with Upwork? How can we make a fair model out of it? Also, in order to use all the good things these crowd working platforms have for our working society, future working society. So that was the question, and why I was there. And now, so I would really stick to the idea of cooperative, because a cooperative has a long history, and especially in Germany, but also in the US and all over Europe. And so I would stick to this idea also because this idea offers a lot of different possibilities to build up. I wouldn't say, okay, let's do something, but I would really stick to the idea of cooperative because it's there are so many possibilities to build this. I think and there can be a very diverse environment and other forms of organizations, but let's talk about this kind of thing because I really think it's one way to share ownership, to share power. And there is a big, you mentioned this already, there is a big discussion within the group of Platformcoops how decentralized it needs to be. Because, for example, Fairmondo, when Felix was founded, he really wanted to compete with Amazon, and we want to have more central platform. And maybe we have to have these big dreams in order to compete with Amazon and the Death Star economy. So that's it. And about this decentralized aspect, it's important, but actually, it's also mentioned in the lecture before, question of power, for example, aren't answered with this. So for example, who writes the code? Mainly white men, so it's probably a topic we can't solve with the decentralized approach. So that's just one.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to look at this spectrum of, on the one hand, you have to arrange all the power and resources around creating this technological core, which in many aspects is just also for Kagel or for the cleaning service, you have a technological core, right? You have software, and you have legal accountability and all that. And I think it's interesting to see how many different forms are coming up. But when it comes to governance and decision making within the cooperative. I just want to give one example. So within the cooperative that we are currently co-founding, it's called Cozy Work. It's for people working, freelancers working in the digital field. There are so many discussions going on. They are ranging from how can people join the cooperative? Can anyone apply? Can anyone become a member? Or should it be a reputation-based system? Do we need a value catalog? Of course, we have a value catalog. And then how can we make sure that people really adhere to these values? Do they have to sign up something up front? Is there a committee that welcomes people? And then, if, for instance, if a potential client addresses the cooperative with an interesting job, and if it's Coca-Cola, are we going to work for Coca-Cola? Or is this like forbidden because it doesn't matter, it doesn't really meet our values? So if we say yes, we will work with Coca-Cola, then who will put together the team? Will it be the most experienced people? Will it be a good combination between juniors and seniors? Who is going to start these projects? And then in the end, how can we make sure that everyone benefits from the experience, from the knowledge that has been created? So much of it is totally not solved yet and needs to be discussed. And I wonder to what extent, or maybe you can share a little of your learnings, because as Pedro also mentioned, in Spiral, I guess, has a lot of these decisions to take on a daily basis. And I know that you have created Unio, it's a tool where decentralized groups of people can take decisions via the web. And I would just be interested to hear a little bit more about your experience and how you think this tool or this approach everyone can maybe include in their own activities.
I think when it comes to sort of solving these problems that you mentioned, like how do we share knowledge, how do we manage these collective assets such as a brand or a collective, how do we take decisions that affect the organisation as a whole, and Lumio is a solution that has been built by over the course of the same lifetime as Install, alongside very closely connected with the Install Foundation. And I think it really serves as a sort of a meeting place, something in the middle, where you can host sessions and hold those discussions that and make decisions that fit all the organisation, and we prioritize transparency for that. But there's so much work that goes as we sort of grow to be kind of larger than 300 people. There's limits to that, limits to there's so much work that goes on kind of interpersonally, stewarding that relationship between an individual and the company and the collective, I think creating a shared space to have those conversations and grow that trust is huge.
It is certainly. Pedro, I would be interested because you also pointed out that your projects are very much based on self-organization. And I wonder to what extent is it interesting to really encourage self-organization, and what do you need in terms of tools or maybe even monitoring in order to keep these structures growing and sustainable?
I mean, just on Inspire, I think I had a call with Oshua, which is one of the people that at the beginning inspired. We had a very interesting conversation. It's like, my theory of change goes in the direction of like, there's all these like distributed networks and there's all these like media tribes or like organizations that are forming everywhere, being yours in supermarket or here. And it's like, okay, how can we from a central point maybe create some technology that can be open source, but then can be maybe activated for this group. So I think there is a very good advantage on like thinking of the more cheaper ways of scaling things, right? So if you create a central platform that works and you can really focus on the right business model to really be able to be competitive because Uber is going to be continuing updating their technology, and you need a lot of money to make things work very well, right? So you need, I think it's good to have a like sort of central point, but then the way that the technology is built, for example, our approach to Colleague is like, okay, we don't want to build like Upwork that is one central place, but we give different nodes the same technology that a central place would have, and then they can monetize in a local level, and they can self-organize in a local level. And I think what brings that has a very, very potential of scaling these sort of technologies different communities in a cheaper way. In the future, once we figure out this process of like how these communities communicate with each other and scale this. And I think the other point which connects to this sort of decentralized, I mean, many of those ideas of decentralized web comes out of protocols, right? How can we create protocols that are open, like such as email, where people will be able to build things themselves? Because in many cases, all these platforms are proprietary, so how can we, then it comes back to how do we finance those protocols, because they're always not going to be the regular term.
Oh, already. So we already got the sign, we are running out of time, but one last thing, maybe Patrick, you can talk a little bit about that. Because, okay, we are now talking about solutions and tools and all that, but it seems to me very often that we need to learn to organize ourselves. And this is as much as it is part of human nature to create ad hoc structures. We can all do that. It seems that we have also unlearned that within our, different institutions we are part of in our lives. So all of a sudden we find ourselves as part of a collective. And if someone tells us, okay, please go and organize yourselves, how can we make sure that we are tackling this task in an interesting way?
I think that's what Platformcoops maybe offers is an appealing idea because not a falls in love with technique. So maybe some of you, but I don't, and a lot of my people I know don't fall in love with technique. So it's important to have a really idea, a lovely idea, an idea you can say yes to. So I think that's what Platformcoops maybe offers, and that's what we need in every kind of organization. Something, an idea we really trust and really believe in, and then make decisions and bring politics back in these discussions, because often it's really technical driven. We discuss about protocols, and it's all important, no matter. But it's really bring back the politics in this discussion to discuss who has the power to decide what do we really want for society. And that's really important.
Okay. Now, we would love to continue the talk, but maybe we do this later on today.
Yeah, thank you. Great.
I think it's a